It is now my great delight to invite to the podium the Premier of New South Wales, the Honourable Mike Baird, to present on behalf of the New South Wales Government. Premier.
Well, firstly, can I just acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to elders past and present, and many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders that are amongst us today, and Maroochy as well, for a wonderful welcome to country. Can I acknowledge the Prime Minister, all my great mates, the Premiers, First Ministers. Great to be here, and obviously Dame Quentin, Bryce, great to have you here. And as representative of New South Wales, obviously Prue Goward comes with me as a minister, and many outstanding representatives in that state, indeed across the country. Can I particularly just acknowledge, though, that Premier Palaszczuk was determined, as one of our COAG meetings, to bring this to fruition. And I want to acknowledge her work and her inspiration to bring us all together. Ultimately, sometimes you can have an idea in politics, and sometimes it comes to something incredible like this, and I want to pay particular credit to Anastasia for her determination to bring us together, and all of us are here on the result of it. And I also acknowledge, sort of being in Brisbane and Queensland, that we are at the home of the State of Origin trophy here, and I hope you enjoy it, because for the next 10 years it's going down south, so making sure you get a look at it when you get there. Really, what I want to do today is and try and be as quick as I can, because we do have a bit of a Premier Fest running, and I really just want to say thank you to everyone that's in the room. Ultimately, we don't come as experts. We come to stand here and say we must do something about this. We must. The violence against women and their children is something we've spoken about for a long time, and I acknowledge the incredible role that Rosie Batty has done to elevate that discussion. And there is, I believe, cultural change that is happening. But ultimately, every single person in this room represents amazing people, amazing organisations that are making a difference on a daily basis. And we, as First Minister and the Prime Minister, come just to say we stand by you. You know, we're here to endorse and help, and we want to know how we can do that. As part of this. And we respond to stories, whether it be Rosie's story or many others, stories of horror. They are inspiring us to act, and I strongly believe that's what you will see on the back of this today. I just want to give you a quick sense on some of the things that we've done in New South Wales, some a little bit different, and hopefully it stimulates a broad discussion, and I'll try and do that quite quickly. In the last few years, we have focused across three areas, one of which is relatively new, but in a budget context, it's about close to $700 million a year that we spend, and indeed we've announced an additional $300 million over the next 4 years. And it's come across these areas. Firstly, supporting victims. We understand that, but one of the new things we've done is identifying a case manager, so someone that works alongside a victim to go across the whole of government. Obviously, one of the things is repeating the story, not knowing where to turn, having a champion effectively alongside them is a new initiative we think is making a difference. We're also, in terms of things I want to highlight, is now actually allowing video statements as reference. So at the point of the crime, a video is done, and that has been allowed to be used as evidence for the first time. Now, interestingly and anecdotally, it looks like that is actually leading to many early guilty pleas. Those men don't actually want those videos to be played. And I think that is something we have to watch very closely, because it is making a difference. We've also shifted our thinking a bit to, well, yes, we need to do everything we can to support the victims, but let's not let the perpetrators off. Let's target them. And we have purposely, and I will talk in a little bit about that, but we have targeted them with a whole range of specialist police and specialist police strategies. We've also used behavioural insights, and there's an incredible amount of work going on in this space that I think is making a difference, not just in terms of their activity, but trying to change their behaviour. Early prevention, intervention and prevention is key. We've rolled out a new syllabus, and Rosie was quite instrumental in this, across our high schools. And it's quite simple. What is a respectful relationship? How does it look? Trying to engage with our kids. And already there is a sort of push on it to try and extend that into a primary school context, and I absolutely understand that. But trying to remind our kids this is what a respectful relationship looks like has been incredibly important. We've also rolled out a disclosure scheme. Many would be familiar with UK's Clare's Law, and I'll talk about that in a second. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all this, give you a sense, but it gives you, in terms of those strategies, here are the various programs that have started to roll out. And as you can see, as we get towards 2016, there has been a significant increase. And there is a huge determination across government to make a real difference in this, and it's reflected in the increasing number of programs, which we are obviously proud about, but there's still more to do. This is really, if you pay attention to one slide, this is the one I really want you to pay attention to. So in terms of the context of where we have put our focus, these are the things that are interesting. Targeting the perpetrators, so the high-risk offenders. Now, why have we done that? One of the things we said, what's happening not just across the country, but what has happened across the world. And this is, when Prue and I saw this, we almost fell off our chairs, because in Bristol in the UK, they found by targeting the perpetrators, they believe the evidence is that homicides dropped by 50%. That when we saw that, and we said we have to do this, and we have started. So over 4,000 interactions with 454 perpetrators, and over half of those are in jail, rather than potentially at risk in the community, and obviously at high risk of domestic violence. So that is something that we are monitoring very closely. The video evidence in court I've spoken about, over 10,000 used last year, and it's very powerful. What happened just half an hour ago, right here. Tell your story, and bringing that into court has been a powerful addition. Behavioural change programs, again, that is many parts, ensuring and reminding and providing insights into perpetrators on making sure that they comply with court orders. Constant reminder, you must be here, you must do this, you must stay away. And at the same time, you must go to this change management program. Your change management program is on tomorrow. You must go. So early days, but it has already sort of worked, and we're quite excited about where that has gone. And the last one is empowering the victims and giving information, as much information as possible. And the Clare's Law is something that I think could be unbelievably transformational. We have found already, if a woman has suspicions about her new partner or new boyfriend, well, why don't you just check to see whether there is a violent history? And what we have found so far is that a third of women that have done that have found that their suspicions were right. There is a violent history. And you can imagine where that goes and how powerful that can be. So that's something that we want to promote and give everyone an opportunity to participate in who wants to. What we have done in addition, as a government, we used to have 321 priorities. Needless to say, for those that have worked in government, that many priorities, you are assured that the government won't pay attention to any of them. So we've limited it down. What are the real areas we want to make a difference in our time in government? And we've brought it down to 12 priorities. And it's important because it brings a whole of government focus. Everyone's in this. There's over 350,000 of us in New South Wales that are working on this. How can we make a difference? And one of those is in reducing domestic violence. And as we looked at it, we had to say, well, what sort of data and what sort of target could we undertake to bring about sort of real change, areas that we could make a real difference. And this is the target we chose, which is reducing the reoffending rates. So those high-risk perpetrators and offenders. And you can see it's a challenge because The problem hasn't got better, it's got worse. And we have to be honest in this. We cannot sort of say, well, we're going to set a target and things are all rosy. Well, they're not. They're actually pretty dark, and we have to respond. So we have set a very ambitious target, and we're determined to do it, notwithstanding the obvious challenge that it is, and that is reducing the reoffending rates by 5%. And that is a big, big ask, but it's something we're determined to do, which is why we have driven the strategies. Now, you know, the interesting thing about doing this is you start to collect the data. And one of the things we have found is that over half offenders have reoffended within 4 months, and that means they haven't even got to court yet. So how on earth do we deal with that? We need to make sure that the court process is quicker. We need to get in there and get involved. And not having the data, you're not empowered to understand that and the challenge that you have. So having the data, bringing a priority and all collectively working on it has started to produce a much deeper knowledge base and a much deeper understanding of where we need to go. This just gives you a sense of how complex it is, and I don't think this is news to anyone, but actually the system is unbelievably complex. Ministries, agencies, so many different frontline services, which is why we need to make that simpler, which is one of our overall focuses. But bringing together a priority or a single target, you know, it almost cuts through and enables everyone to be working as one, and that is a real focus for us. We now, in terms of the way forward, last couple of points, the supporting victims I've described, the targeting perpetrators, which is new, the early intervention. But as we have gone into it, there is more we need to do, you know, with our children. How can we ensure that we're doing everything we can to protect them? You know, how can we ensure that they know what a respectful relationship is and maybe who to ask for support and help when they're not seeing it? Data is something that we need to do much more of. The more data we have, the more we understand, and the more we can understand all these incredible programs, which ones do we see moving the needle? And that is an important part. We must build that database. And the last is collaboration, which not just across government, but across jurisdictions, across levels of government. And really that's what today is. My hope is that, you know, today is not the one and only. And I think Anastasia was saying that this is something that we should continue to do. Because it's just too important not to. The last point is, across all those new initiatives that we have undertaken, we want to really focus in and determine, you know, are they working? So we've gone to the 4 areas with effectively the highest rates of domestic violence reoffending, and we are using those, if you like, as trial sites with intensity. And we are monitoring those very, very closely. Obviously, our hope is that there is great success, and then we will roll that out across the rest of the country. But again, New South Wales remains determined to take every possible step to eliminate domestic violence against women and families. And I know that all the services in the room, we're incredibly proud of what you do, and we will continue to do anything you ask of us because it's too important not to. Thank you.
Premier Baird, thank you very much for that important update.